Interrupts. So generally, how can we define an interrupt? Generally, we will be defining an interrupt as a processor operation or a disturbance to the processor execution. We generally define an interrupt as disturbance to the processor operation or a disturbance to processor execution is called as an interrupt. So when a processor is executing a processor is executing a program, and if an interrupt occurs while it is executing a program, the processor, say for example, processor is executing a program which contains some 20 lines of instructions. A program is there, and that program contains 20 lines. Like here, line is nothing but an instruction. It contains 20 instructions. While it is executing some third instruction, if there is any disturbance to that particular processor, if there is any disturbance, then what it will do, it will execute the third instruction, whatever the instruction that is in the middle of the execution, it will finish off the execution of that particular third instruction, and then the execution will be diverted from fourth to the some set of program called as interrupt service routine. I'm repeating this once again. When a processor is executing a program, and if an interrupt is occurred, then processor will execute the current instruction. It will execute the current instruction. Instead of executing the next instruction, the processor will try to serve the interrupt that was occurred, and in order to serve the interrupt, the processor will move on to a set of program, a small program which is called as interrupt service routine. This interrupt service routine, the short form is ISR. This interrupt routine, it will contain what to be done when what kind of interrupts are being occurred. See, there will be so many number of interrupts and so many kinds of interrupts will be there. So there will not be a same set of guidelines to serve each and every interrupt. The guidelines to serve the interrupt will vary from interrupt to interrupt. So what to be done and how to information is a program called as interrupt service routine. So whenever a processor get a break because of the interrupt, it immediately move on to that subprogram called as interrupt service routine. When it moves on to that interrupt service routine, there the processor will come to know interrupt actually for what the interrupt occurred. So it will go to ISR and it will see what to be done, and it will perform the, it will serve the instruction, and again it will come back to its original program. Like as I told you, it is executing the third instruction, and interrupt has occurred. So in order to serve the interrupt, the processor will move on to interrupt service. Moving on to interrupt service routine, there will be some instructions what to be done. So the processor will execute those instructions. Executing those instructions means processor giving its service to the interrupt. So once if the execution of that interrupt is done, it will come back to its original program. That means it has finished the third instruction. So after serving the interrupt, it will be going back to the fourth instruction, and it will start executing that particular instruction. And there will be some interrupts called as nested interrupts. There will be some interrupts called as nested interrupts. So what are these nested interrupts means? While processor is serving one interrupt, if there is another interrupt before the completion of serving one interrupt, if there is another interrupt, that means interrupt within the interrupt. Interrupt within the interrupt is called as nested interrupts. For this, I can give you one a small analogy, real-time analogy. Say, for example, consider me as a processor, and I'm giving my lecture. That is, delivering my lecture is the program. You just consider delivering lecture itself is a program for me. And while I'm delivering my lecture, I got a call from HOD. So here, call from HOD is an interrupt to me. As he is my higher authority, I answered that call, and while I am serving the interrupt called HOD, that means while I'm speaking to HOD, there is another call from principal. While I'm speaking to the HOD, there is there is another call from principal. That means I haven't completely provided my service to the HOD call. While I'm providing my service to the HOD, that is my first interrupt. Call from HOD is my first interrupt. While I'm answering my first interrupt, within that interrupt only there is another interrupt. That is nothing but there is another call from the principal. So what I have to do as principal is the superior for us. I will stop executing my service to interrupt one. So I will answer principal call. I will complete the call with principal, and then after completing the service to the principal, I'll complete the service to the HOD, and then I'll be coming back to my lecture. That means while I'm speaking to the HOD, there is a call from principal. Interrupt within the interrupt, that is called as a nested interrupt. And here, as I told you, when processor comes across this interrupt, the processor will immediately move on to interrupt service routine. Why it will move on to interrupt service routine? In interrupt service routine, there will be set of programs which will help the processor how to handle the particular program, and that interrupt service routine will be having a size of 4 bytes. Interrupt service routine will have a size of 4 bytes, and all these interrupt service routines, every interrupt will have its ISR. Like that, there will be 256 interrupts in 8086. 8086 will support 256 interrupt, and there will be interrupt service routine for each and every interrupt. So that interrupt service routine will be having a memory size of 4 bytes. So when you join all these 256 interrupt service routines, when you join all these 256 interrupt service routine, then the resultant is called as interrupt vector table. I will repeat it once again. 8086 will support 256 interrupts. 8086 will support 256 interrupt. Each interrupt will have interrupt service routine. Each interrupt will have interrupt service routine. That means as there are 256 interrupts, there will be 256 interrupt service routines. And the size of interrupt service routine is 4 bytes. Size of interrupt service routine is 4 bytes. As there are 256 interrupts, there will be 256 ISRs. So when all those 256 IRs are put together, when all those 256 interrupt service routines are put together, the resultant is called as interrupt vector table. The resultant is called as interrupt vector table, and this interrupt vector table size is 1 kilobyte. This 1 kilobyte we will get if you multiply 256 into 4. If you multiply 256 into 4, you will get an value which is approximated to 1 kilobyte. Why 256 into 4? Why? Because 256 interrupts it is supporting. That means there will be 256 interrupt service routines, and each interrupt service routine memory size is 4 kilobytes. So 256 into 4. So totally 1 kilobyte of space out of 1 MB, 1 kilobyte of space is available in 8086 microprocessor to provide servicing for the interrupts. And what does this interrupt vector table contains? This interrupt vector table contains starting address of ISR. Interrupt vector table will contain starting address of ISR. I hope there is no confusion between ISR and IVR. ISR is a subprogram which will help the processor in handling the interrupts, where IVR is a table which will contain the starting address of the ISR. For each and every interrupt, there will be an each and every ISR. As there are 256 interrupts, there will be 256 interrupt service routines. The starting address of each and every interrupt service routine will be stored in a table called as interrupt vector table. And this is the interrupt vector table. You just try to keenly observe this one. This is the interrupt vector table. If you observe this, it is starting with an address of 000H. H means hexadecimal. As I told you, microprocessor 8086 microprocessor will be supporting hexadecimal number system. So its starting address is 000 and the last address is 3FF. Its last address is 3FF. So interrupt vector table will be in between 0002 3FF. See here. I have told you that there will be 256 interrupt service routines, as there are 256 interrupts. If you see here, here it was written as type 0 interrupt, type 1 interrupt, type 2 interrupt, type 3 interrupt, type 4 interrupt, type 5, like that up to type 255. So type 0 to type 255, that means totally 256 interrupts, totally 256 interrupts. And I told you that ISR is having a memory size of 4 bytes, right? You can observe that. See here, this type 0, how much space it is occupying? 000 to 4, 0 to 4, the difference is 4 bytes. And now you observe, so this is one ISR whose name is type 0. It is storing, it is occupying a space of 4 bytes. Try to take the difference between zeros and fours, then difference will be 4. Similarly, next type 1, see, it is in between 4 to 8. It is occupying a space between 4 to 8. If you take the difference of 4 and 8, again it is going to be 4 only. And next type 2, it is taking uh, a memory occupation from 8 to C. Here, what does the C represents in hexadecimal number system? 0 to 9 will be counted as it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 10, instead of 10, we will be calling it as A. 10 means 10 in decimal number will be equals to A in hexadecimal, and 11 will be B, and 12 will be C. So 8, if you add generally 4 to 8, what will happen? 8 plus 4, it will be 12. So instead of writing 12, here we are writing C. The reason is that everything we are representing in the form of hexadecimal number system only. So like that, if you take the difference of these two or these two or these two, if you take the difference between any two starting and ending addresses, each and every interrupt service routine will occupy a space of 4 bytes. So this is how an interrupt vector table will be there, and this is how an interrupt vector table will occupy totally 1 kilobyte of space in 8086 microprocessor. And here if you observe, type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. These 4 types, each and every type of interrupt is having different interrupts. If you look at the type 0, here type 0 is a divide error. Type 0 ISR means divide error. So in within the program, by mistakenly, if you have written any number, say for example 2 by 0, if you have entered a number 2 by 0, dividing with 0 means it is going to generate an error. Generating an error means it is an interrupt to the processor. So those kind of type 0, in those kind will be calling them as type 0 divided by error. Divided by error means they will come under type 0 interrupts. And next, coming to the type 1 interrupts, here it was written as single step. While we are discussing about the flag register, I have told you about one particular flag called as trap flag. If you want to see the result of each and every instruction, if you want to see the result, or if you want to execute your program in step-by-step manner, then the trap flag is going to be set. So whenever you are looking the result after the completion of all the instruction is one case, you don't bother about the intermediate result. But if you want to see the intermediate result, that means if you want to see the output of each and every instruction, that is considered as an interrupt to the processor. So those kind of interrupts will be come under type 1. And type 2 interrupts are non-maskable interrupts. I have explained you what is non-maskable interrupts. All those interrupts will come under type 2. So like that, from type 0 to type 4, type 0 to type 4, they are having some predefined definitions. They will serve only those predefined interrupts only. Type 0 to type 4, they have specifically defined some interrupts. They will be serving only those interrupts. If you observe type 5 to type 31, type 5 interrupt to type 31 interrupt, they have been reserved. That means type 5 interrupt to type 31 interrupt, they are not being used by the programmer. They have been reserved by the Intel. 8086 is the baby of Intel, right? Intel is the manufacturer of 8086. So Intel has reserved type 5 to type 31 interrupts for their advanced microprocessor usages. So type 5 to type 31, they are not going to provide any service to the interrupt. They have been reserved for the future usage. Type 5 to type 31 are, they have been reserved for the future usage. And moving on to type 32. Type 32 till the last type 255, type 32, type 255. These are the interrupts which are freely available for the end user, which will serve both hardware and software interrupts. So here there are three sets of types, First set of type, that is nothing but type 0 to type 4. They have been already predefined what kind of interrupts are to be served. That information is already predefined, so they will be serving only those predefined interrupts, type 0 to type 4. From type 5 to type 31, they are reserved for the future usage. They are reserved. That means type 5 to type 31, they are not going to provide any service to the interrupts. They have been reserved for the future usage. And next, from type 32 to last type, that is type 255, they are readily available to serve the both hardware and software interrupts. They are ready to serve the both hardware and software interrupts. And here one more thing that I would like to share you is how to calculate the address of interrupt. How to calculate the address of the interrupt. I am saying that there are 256 interrupts, and all those 256, they will be within this 1 kilobyte of memory only, and the memory is allocated from 000 to 3FF. So if you want to calculate where exactly one interrupt will be, what will be physical address, and how to calculate that, see here, that can be calculated with this particular formula: type number into 4. Type number, say for example, if it is a type 11 interrupt, then 11 into 4. Why 4? Because each ISR will be occupying a space of 4 bytes. So type number into 4 you have to take, and when you multiply that with 4, you will be getting a result like 44. Type number into 4 you will be getting, if you are considering type 11, it will be 11 into 4, it is going to be 44, where 44 is a decimal number system. So you need to convert that into the hexadecimal number system. So when you convert 44 into hexadecimal number system, you will be getting 02C. So type 11 will be occupying if space whose physical address is 02C within this particular interrupt vector table. So this is what all about the interrupts and interrupt vector table. And if we coming to the classification of the interrupts,